echoes of the Starlight Thyme, a deeply calming and enchanting sleep story designed to carry you gently into a world of serene wonder and restful slumber. We are so glad you've chosen to spend this quiet time with us. If you find solace and enjoyment in this journey, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more peaceful escapes like this one. Before we venture into the tranquil landscapes with Alistair, we'll begin with a gentle breathing guidance to help you unwind and prepare for the peaceful narrative ahead. If you prefer to drift directly into the story, you can find the timestamps for each chapter in the description below, allowing you to navigate to your preferred starting point. Please take this moment to settle into your most comfortable position. Allow your body to sink softly into your mattress, feeling the gentle support beneath you, a comforting anchor in the quiet of the night. Adjust your blankets, perhaps drawing them a little closer, or fluff your pillow to create a perfect cradle for your head. This is your sanctuary, your time to release the cares of the day and invite a profound sense of calm and quietude to envelop you. Let the thought of Stillwater Dell, with its shimmering pools and the promise of celestial fragrance, begin to soothe your mind, guiding you towards a state of deep and gentle relaxation. Let us now take a soothing breath together, a soft sigh for the day now past. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, feeling the cool air enter, filling your lungs with ease, like the scent of pine in a quiet forest. Then exhale gently and completely through your mouth, a soft release, like a gentle breeze rustling through willow leaves. With each breath, feel your body softening a little more, any lingering tension beginning to melt away like morning mist under a warming sun. Imagine the peaceful dell, the scent of damp earth and night blooming flowers, the perfect reflection of stars on still water. Allow these images to fill your mind with tranquility, a gentle weight of comfort settling upon you. If your mind should wander, as minds often do, acknowledge your thoughts without judgment, like watching clouds drift lazily across a vast, peaceful sky. Then, gently guide your attention back, either to the rhythm of your own soft breathing or to the sound of my voice. There is nothing else you need to do right now. Simply listen, allow, and let the story of the Starlight Thyme carry you softly towards rest. Feel the gentle weight of your limbs, the warmth spreading through your body, and the quiet stillness that begins to deepen all around you and within you. Allow yourself to become attuned to the quiet magic that awaits. As we journey with Alistair, let the serene landscapes and the gentle unfolding of his quest envelop you, bringing a profound sense of peace and contentment. Now, let us begin our journey into the heart of echoes of the Starlight Thyme, where the subtle magic of the universe waits to guide you into a serene and deeply restful sleep. Chapter 1. The Whispering Atlas. The old study was a haven of quietude, a place where time itself seemed to slow its hurried pace, content to linger amongst the towering shelves of ancient books and the soft, flickering glow of beeswax candles. Alistair, a man whose gentle nature was as much a part of him as the spectacles perched upon his nose, sat at his large oak desk, its surface worn smooth by generations of scholars. The air was thick with the comforting sense of aged parchment, dried lavender that lay in a small bowl by the inkwell, and the faint, sweet aroma of the slowly burning logs in the hearth. A deep sense of peace always enveloped him here, a stillness that allowed his thoughts to roam freely through the accumulated wisdom of ages past. Tonight, a particular volume lay open before him, its vellum pages yellowed with time, its binding of faded blue leather. This was the Whispering Atlas, a collection of maps and laws so ancient that its origins were lost to myth. It was said that its pages did not merely depict lands, but also hinted at the very essence of places, the quality of their silence, the hue of their light, the character of their enchantments. Alistair traced a fine, delicate finger across a constellation chart, his brow furrowed in gentle concentration. He was searching for something spoken of only in the most hushed of legends, the Starlight Thyme, an herb said to bloom only where the light of distant stars kiss the surface of perfectly still water. The hearth sighed, a soft exhalation of warmth that seemed to mirror Alistair's own quiet breath. He felt the gentle heat on his face, a comforting presence in the cool evening air. His shoulders, often unconsciously tensed from hours of leaning over texts, began to soften and release, sinking a little further into the supportive embrace of his old wooden chair. The Atlas spoke not in direct commands, but in poetic riddles and subtle allusions. Where the bear sleeps soundly in the mirror of night, one passage read, and the silent watcher guards the northern sky, there lies the dell of untroubled waters. Alistair nodded slowly, his gaze drifting to the window, where the first stars of evening were beginning to prick the darkening velvet of the sky. He cross-referenced the cryptic clues with other, more conventional astronomical charts, his quill scratching softly as he made notes in a small leather-bound journal. The sound was a familiar lullaby in the quiet room, a counterpoint to the gentle crackle of the fire. He felt a warmth spread through his hands as he worked, a sense of purpose infusing his careful research. The Starlight Thyme, it was whispered, held a fragrance so pure, so imbued with celestial peace, that it could soothe the most troubled spirit and bring clarity to the most cluttered mind. It was not for power or fame that Alistair sought it, but for the simple, profound gift of its tranquility. As the grandfather clock in the hall chimed the late hour with a series of soft, sonorous bells, Alistair carefully closed the Whispering Atlas, its secrets held safe once more. A gentle sense of anticipation, warm and pleasant, settled within him. Tomorrow, he would begin his preparations. He rose, feeling a comfortable weight in his limbs, a pleasant weariness that promised restful sleep. He took a moment to look out at the stars, feeling a connection to their distant, silent light, a prelude to the wonders he hoped to find. He began to gather the few simple things he would need for his journey. A thick woolen cloak, the colour chest. Its familiar weight would be a comfort against the night chill. He selected a pair of well-worn leather boots, supple and soft, that had carried him on many previous quiet explorations. Into a small, sturdy satchel of brown leather, he placed a linen cloth for wrapping any specimens he might find, a small flask for water, and a little tin of dried fruit and nuts. Each item was chosen with mindfulness, a quiet ritual that deepened his connection to the journey ahead. The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows on the walls, making the familiar objects in his study seem to breathe with a gentle life of their own. Alistair felt the day's focus slowly dissolving, replaced by a soft, diffuse awareness, a readiness for rest. He banked the fire, the glowing embers promising warmth for the morning, their soft orange light pulsing like a slow heartbeat. The scent of wood smoke, now more pronounced, was a final, comforting perfume. He moved towards his small sleeping chamber, the floorboards creaking softly beneath his slippered feet, a familiar sound that spoke of home and peace. The thought of the journey ahead did not bring unease, but a quiet sense of unfolding, like a flower slowly opening its petals to the dawn. He trusted the guidance of the whispering atlas, and he trusted the gentle call of the Starlight Thyme, a call that resonated not in his ears, but deep within his peaceful heart. He knew this quest was not one of haste, but of patient observation and quiet wonder. Chapter 2. The Journey to Stillwater Dell. The morning dawned crisp and clear, the air tasting of dew and the promise of a fine day. Alistair, having risen with the gentle light, partook of a simple breakfast of warm porridge and honey, the sweetness a pleasant start to his quiet adventure. With his satchel comfortably settled on his shoulder and his moss-green cloak fastened against the early chill, he stepped out from his cottage, the sound of the closing door a soft click that marked the beginning of his passage. The path before him led away from the familiar village, winding gently into the embrace of the old woods. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy of leaves high above, dappled the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. The air was alive with the gentle hum of unseen life, the distant drumming of a woodpecker, the busy drone of bumblebees exploring early wildflowers, and the sweet, melodious trill of a songbird hidden amongst the branches. Alistair walked with a slow, even rhythm, his soft leather boots making little sound on the cushion of fallen pine needles. He breathed deeply, inhaling the rich, loamy scent of the earth, mingled with the sharp, clean fragrance of pine and the delicate perfume of damp moss. He felt his body settle into the gentle cadence of walking, each step a quiet meditation. The warmth of the sun, when it found gaps in the leaves, rested pleasantly on his shoulders and the back of his neck, easing away any stiffness from the morning. He paused often, not from weariness, but from a desire to observe the small wonders that surrounded him. He watched a ladybug, a tiny bead of crimson, make its slow journey up a blade of grass. He admired the intricate, lace-like patterns of a spider's web, glistening with tiny droplets of dew that sparkled like scattered jewels in a patch of sunlight. As the day wore on, the path led him beside a babbling brook, its waters clear and cool, tumbling over smooth grey stones. The sound of the water was a constant, soothing murmur, like a gentle conversation that Alistair was content to simply overhear. He knelt by its edge, cupping his hands to drink the refreshingly cold water, feeling its coolness spread through him, a welcome balm. He noticed how the light played on the surface of the stream, creating fleeting, shimmering patterns that danced and changed with every ripple. The feeling of the cool, damp stones under his fingertips was grounding, connecting him to the ancient pulse of the earth. Lunch was a simple affair, taken in a sunlit glade where wildflowers of pale blue and soft yellow nodded in the gentle breeze. He ate his dried fruit and nuts slowly, savouring each mouthful, his senses attuned to the quiet symphony of the forest around him. A gentle drowsiness began to settle over him, the pleasant weight of contentment. He leaned back against the trunk of an old oak, its bark rough and comforting against his cloak, and closed his eyes for a few moments, allowing the warmth of the sun and the soft sounds of nature to wash over him like a gentle tide. The afternoon saw the forest gradually give way to rolling meadows, the trees thinning to reveal wide expanses of sky, painted in the softest of blues. The air here was lighter, carrying the scent of sun-warmed grasses and distant hay. Alistair's pace remained unhurried, his journey not a race against time, but a slow immersion in the unfolding beauty of the land. He felt a sense of gentle expansion within himself, his thoughts becoming as clear and open as the sky above. The subtle guidance of the whispering atlas resonated within him, a quiet knowing that he was moving in the right direction, not by landmarks alone, but by the feeling of peace that deepened with each passing mile. As evening began to draw in, painting the western sky in breathtaking hues of rose, lavender, and soft apricot, Alistair sought a sheltered place to rest for the night. He found a small copse of silver birch trees, their slender white trunks gleaming softly in the fading light. The air grew cooler, and he drew his woolen cloak more closely around him, its familiar weight a comforting embrace. He unrolled his simple bedroll on a patch of soft grass, the scent of crushed herbs rising faintly as he did so. The transition from day to night in the open countryside was a slow, magical process. The vibrant colours of sunset gradually deepened into the soft greys and indigos of twilight. The first stars began to appear, shyly at first, then with increasing brilliance, scattered like diamond dust across the darkening canvas of the sky. Alistair lay back, watching them emerge, feeling a profound sense of connection to the vast, silent universe. The only sounds were the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze and the distant, mournful call of a nightjar. A deep, restful peace settled over him, the gentle fatigue of the day's walk a welcome precursor to sleep. He drifted off, his dreams filled with whispering leaves and starlit paths. Alistair awoke to a world hushed and bathed in the soft, pre-dawn light. A fine mist lay upon the meadows, lending an ethereal quality to the landscape, as if he had awakened in a dream. The air was cool and still, carrying the damp scent of earth and the subtle perfume of dew-kiss sere grass. He lay for a moment in the cosy warmth of his bedroll, listening to the silence, a profound and peaceful stillness that seemed to hold the world in a gentle embrace. Then, with a soft sigh of contentment, he rose and prepared for the final stage of his journey to Stillwater Dell. The path, as foretold by the whispering atlas, became less distinct, more a subtle inclination of the land, a feeling of being drawn towards a place of particular quietude. He moved through the pearlescent mist, which swirled gently around his ankles, muffling the sound of his footsteps until he felt as if he were drifting rather than walking. The rising sun was a diffuse glow behind the veil of white, promising warmth that would soon burn away the morning chill. He felt a pleasant coolness on his cheeks, invigorating and refreshing. As the sun climbed higher, the mist began to recede, revealing a landscape of extraordinary beauty. He stood at the entrance to a shallow valley, cradled between gently sloping hills that were carpeted in the deepest green moss, soft and yielding like velvet. The air here was different, imbued with an almost tangible stillness, a silence so profound it seemed to hum with a subtle energy. This, Alistair knew, was Stillwater Dell. The scent of damp earth was stronger here, mingled with the delicate fragrance of unseen night-blooming flowers, and a faint, almost imperceptible sweetness that hinted at hidden magic. Scattered across the floor of the dell, like dark polished jewels, were dozens of small pools. Their surfaces were perfectly, unnaturally smooth, reflecting the pale blue morning sky with such flawless clarity that it was difficult to tell where water ended and sky began. Not the slightest ripple disturbed their mirror-like stillness. Alistair felt a sense of awe wash over him, a quiet reverence for this place of serene and untouched beauty. He moved slowly, carefully, as if unwilling to disturb the profound peace that reigned here. He found a sheltered spot beneath the broad, welcoming branches of an ancient silver-barked willow tree, its long, slender leaves trailing almost to the surface of the nearest pool. The ground beneath the willow was carpeted in soft, feathery ferns, their delicate fronds a vibrant green against the dark earth. Here, he laid out his simple camp, the gentle rustle of the willow leaves in the barely perceptible breeze, the only sound to break the stillness. He felt the tension leave his shoulders completely, his body relaxing into the profound calm of the dell. As the day progressed, Alistair sat in quiet contemplation, observing the subtle play of light on the still waters. The sun, moving across the sky, painted shifting patterns on the surfaces of the pools, transforming them from mirrors of bright azure to pools of liquid gold as evening approached. The reflections were so perfect, so detailed, that it felt as though he could step into another world simply by gazing into their depths. gentle warmth spread through his limbs as he sat, a deep sense of contentment seeping into his very bones. The transition to night in Stillwater Dell was a spectacle of quiet majesty as the sun dipped below the western hills. The sky above transformed into a canvas of deepening indigo and violet. One by one, the stars began to appear, their light pure and cold, pricking the velvet darkness, and in each perfectly still pool, an identical universe of stars began to shine, a breathtaking tapestry of light woven above and below. Alistair watched his breath soft and even, feeling himself a small but integral part of this immense, silent beauty. The air grew cooler, carrying the fresh scent of the night and the subtle sweet perfume of the Starlight Thyme, which he sensed was close, though not yet visible. He drew his woolen cloak around him, its familiar weight a comforting anchor. The distant, gentle hoot of an owl echoed softly across the dell, a sound that only deepened the sense of profound peace. Alistair felt his eyelids grow pleasantly heavy, the stillness of the dell seeping into him, inviting a deep and dreamless rest. He lay back on his bedroll, gazing up at the countless stars, feeling a tranquility so complete it was almost a physical sensation, a soft, warm blanket enfolding him. Chapter 4. The Bloom of Starlight Thyme. Hours drifted by in the deep, velvety quiet of Stillwater Dell. Alistair remained seated by the edge of the clearest pool, the one that held the North Star's reflection like a captured diamond at its heart. He was not impatient. The waiting itself was a form of serene communion with the night. His breathing was slow and even, his senses attuned to the subtle symphony of the nocturnal world. The almost inaudible rustle of a small creature in the distant reeds, the faint sigh of the air as it moved with ghostly gentleness through the willow leaves, the profound, resonant silence that lay beneath it all. The moon, a slender crescent, had long since set, leaving the dell to the pure, undiluted light of the stars. Their brilliance seemed to intensify in the crystalline air, each pinpoint of light sharp and distinct against the inky blackness. Alistair felt the coolness of the night air on his face, a refreshing sensation that kept his mind clear and focused, yet wonderfully at peace. He noticed the gentle weight of his hands resting in his lap, the soft texture of his woolen cloak, the feeling of the cool, damp earth beneath him, grounding him in the present moment. Then, so subtly at first that he almost doubted his senses, a change began. A faint, ethereal luminescence started to emanate from the very edge of the pool, where the dark water met the mossy bank. It was a soft, silver blue glow, delicate and otherworldly, like moonlight captured and held within the earth. Alistair held his breath, his heart giving a gentle flutter of anticipation, not of excitement, but of quiet wonder. He felt a warmth spread through his chest, a feeling of profound connection to the unfolding magic. Slowly, gracefully, tiny star-shaped flowers began to unfurl their petals. These were the Starlight Thyme. Each bloom was no larger than his thumbnail, its petals a delicate, translucent silver blue, so fine they seemed woven from solidified starlight itself. As they opened, the soft glow intensified, casting a gentle, magical light on the surrounding moss and the dark, still water. It was as if a tiny constellation had descended to Earth, choosing this quiet, hidden dell as its sanctuary. And with the light came the fragrance. It was a scent unlike any Alistair had ever known, exquisitely beautiful, yet almost too subtle to name. It was sweet, but not cloying, fresh, like the air after a summer rain, yet with an underlying warmth, and woven through it, like silver threads in a silken tapestry, were faint, harp-like musical notes, so delicate they seemed to be heard not with the ears, but with the soul. The fragrance washed over him in a gentle wave, carrying with it an unparalleled sense of tranquility, a peace so profound it seemed to dissolve all thought, leaving only a state of serene, blissful awareness. Alistair felt every muscle in his body relax, a gentle heaviness settling in his limbs, a comfortable warmth spreading from his core. His shoulders, which often carried an unconscious tension, softened and released completely. He felt as if he were floating, suspended in the gentle light and etheric scent of the Starlight Thyme. The boundary between himself and the serene beauty of the dell seemed to dissolve, and he was simply part of this quiet, magical moment. He watched, mesmerized, as more and more of the tiny flowers opened, creating a soft, glowing carpet along the water's edge. The air thrummed with their silent music and their calming perfume. It was not a grand, dramatic display, but a subtle, deeply intimate enchantment, a secret whispered by the universe to those who knew how to listen with a quiet heart. Alistair felt an immense gratitude for being witness to such a gentle marvel, a beauty that asked for nothing but to be quietly appreciated. The night deepened, the stars wheeled slowly overhead, and the Starlight Thyme continued its silent, luminous bloom. Alistair remained still, lost in a state of peaceful contemplation, the fragrance and the soft light weaving a cocoon of profound calm around him. He knew, with a certainty that resonated deep within his being, that he had found what he sought. Not just an herb, but an experience, a tangible manifestation of the universe's gentle, healing peace. His eyelids grew heavy, not with tiredness, but with the sheer weight of blissful serenity. Chapter 5. The Scent of Tranquility. As the first pale light of dawn began to touch the eastern hills, casting a soft, rosy glow over Stillwater Dell, the ethereal luminescence of the Starlight Thyme slowly began to fade. The tiny silver blue flowers remained, their delicate petals now touched with the dew of morning, but their magical light receded with the stars, as if returning to the celestial realm from whence it came. Alistair watched this gentle transition, a feeling of profound peace, still, settled deep within him, a warmth that the cool morning air could not diminish. With utmost care, his movements slow and deliberate so as not to disturb the sanctity of the place, Alistair approached the edge of the pool. He knelt on the soft, damp moss, his reflection a dark silhouette in the still water, now mirroring the awakening sky. He reached out a gentle hand towards the Starlight Thyme. The petals felt cool and velvety beneath his fingertips, unimaginably delicate. He selected just a few sprigs, choosing those that had bloomed most fully, their faint, sweet fragrance still clinging to them like a whispered secret. He laid them carefully upon the soft linen cloth he had brought, his heart filled with a quiet gratitude. The journey back from Stillwater Dell was imbued with the same sense of serene wonder as his arrival. The world seemed brighter, the birdsong sweeter, the scent of the forest richer and more vibrant. It was as if the Starlight Thyme had not only soothed his spirit, but had also polished his senses, allowing him to perceive the quiet beauty of the world with a newfound clarity. He walked with a light step, the small bundle of herbs carefully protected in his satchel, a tangible reminder of the magic he had witnessed. Upon returning to his cosy study, the familiar comfort of the room welcomed him like an old friend. The scent of old books and dried lavender was reassuring, grounding. He carefully unwrapped the Starlight Thyme. Its delicate fragrance, though fainter now in the daylight, still held that unmistakable hint of celestial music and profound peace. He placed the sprigs in a small, shallow bowl of water on his desk, where the sunlight streaming through the window could touch them. Later that day, Alistair took a single, tiny leaf of the Starlight Thyme and gently crushed it between his fingers. The fragrance bloomed anew, filling the small study with its ethereal perfume. It was an aroma that spoke of quiet, starlit nights, of perfectly still waters, of a peace that lay at the very heart of creation. He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply, and felt a wave of profound calm wash over him, just as it had in the dell. His mind, which had been gently mulling over the words to describe his experience, became clear and still, like a pool reflecting a cloudless sky. He sat by his window, quill in hand, his journal open before him. He began to write, not of a conquest or a discovery in the boastful sense, but of a gentle unfolding, a shared wonder. He described the quiet hush of the dell, the perfection of the starlit reflections, the slow, magical bloom of the silver blue flowers. He tried to capture the essence of the fragrance, its ability to soothe and clarify, to bring a sense of profound connection to something vast and beautiful. He hoped that his words, like the scent of the thyme itself, might carry a whisper of that deep tranquility to others who sought it. As evening approached, Alistair lit a single beeswax candle, its soft glow mingling with the last rays of the setting sun. The Starlight Thyme in its bowl seemed to gather the fading light, its petals holding a hint of their nocturnal luminescence. The gentle scent pervaded the room, a constant, calming presence. He felt a pleasant weariness settle over him, the good fatigue of a journey completed, of a purpose fulfilled. His eyelids grew comfortably heavy, and a gentle smile touched his lips. He looked out at the first stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky, feeling a deeper connection to them than ever before. The Starlight Thyme was a bridge, a tiny, fragrant link between the quiet earth and the silent, shining heavens, and in that connection, he found a peace that was both profound and wonderfully simple. He knew that the memory of Stillwater Dell and the scent of its magical herb would remain with him always, a soothing balm for the spirit, an echo of the universe's gentle lullaby.